All right, everyone, welcome back to another trade breakdown. Today we are talking about US dollar yen. It's one of three positions from last week and the second position that I took on Friday. So massive watch list on Friday. I got a lot of momentum in the markets on Thursday night. Unfortunately, couldn't capitalize on a lot of that. Just got a few messy pullbacks. But I will go through my entry on US dollar yen. This was an RT1 and this equated to a break even. So I was still in the position when I posted this up to the group. So you can see I'm currently break even, hopefully get some momentum kicking in, but unfortunately was taken out of this position. But we'll go ahead and break it down. So you know exactly what I'm looking for in these positions, daily engulfing candle, looking for that pullback, rejection, and then playing that continuation to the downside. So got a lot of movement in the markets. Unfortunately, we didn't get the most perfect close on the daily for US dollar yen, but a lot of the other pairs were looking good. This is probably the messiest out of the bunch on the higher time frame, so the daily and the 4 hour, but I really like this zone on the daily. So the yen has been up here a few times, really overextended. I think this is the Bank of Japan intervention kicking in here. So, they really do not like having the currency at this elevated level. And you can see we've reacted again to this area with an impulse to the downside. And I really like when we have this trickle back. We've pushed off here, but we've slowly trickled back on the daily, just grinding higher and higher and higher. As soon as we're back in this zone, the market's reacted and we've pushed lower. So I really like that as a sign of weakness. Just adds to the confluence for this position. Now, on the 1 hour, I didn't mind the pullback. So we had an ugly close to the daily. The 4 hour, we're sitting at this 4 hour 50 EMA. We've pierced through, but then we've come back up quickly. This isn't really what I want to see. And there was a lot of positions on Friday that were better looking, and I was waiting for pullbacks on them and such. But a lot of them started to move early, and US dollar yen was the only one that had pulled back to this 1 hour 50 EMA in a way that I was interested in, coupled with this higher time frame bias. So was the daily the best? No. Was the 4 hour the best? No. But something I've been focusing a lot on lately is when these pairs, or whether it's an index, an indice, a forex pair, when they're at a value area, and I like my higher time frame thesis being this zone on the daily, I can afford to be a little bit more aggressive on the intradays. So that's exactly what happened here. If I put the fib tool on, this is misaligned to what I would normally look for, but that's to be expected with this big impulse back on the daily. We're probably going to trickle a little bit higher. So, when I'm looking at this, the fib has less weight to me than the 1 hour 50 EMA. So I would rather see something pull back to the 1 hour 50 EMA and reject it than see something pull back, really shallow here to 0.382 on the fib and push down, but with the 1 hour 50 EMA trailing up here. So I'm more interested in seeing that 1 hour 50 EMA get rejected. So I'm almost going to ignore this fib tool and just look for the way price pulls back and we get this rejection. So I was very, very close to not taking this position. My son wanted to go for a run with me on Friday afternoon. And, even though this was looking really good for me, I know there's always going to be one more trade, one more opportunity in the market. How many times is my kid going to want to run with their dad and be excited to do that? So I was happy to go for a run around the block with him. And when I got back bang on, I think it was 3:55 or 4 p.m. So very, very, very close to entry. I went and did another scan of the charts. So you can see here, we were just trickling up all day, riding above this 5-minute 50 EMA, which is, we'd call this a textbook pullback. Apart from how it was looking on the 4 hour, 1 hour on this smaller time frame here, I love when it just rides up and just continues to hold this 5-minute 50 MA and then finally breaks it with some conviction. So you can see here, this is right at 3:55. This is when I got home. This would be my ideal entry. When we go bang down here, next 5-minute close here, that is when I want to enter. I want to enter with a 1 hour close, rejecting the 1 hour 50 MA, 0.382, and breaking the 5-minute 50 MA. That is a textbook entry. Now I was, come back from a run. I was a bit sweaty. I missed this initial entry. I got to the charts, was doing my scan. This is something I had on watch. And you can see I got in here. It was like 10 past 4 my time. And this is 1 hour before the 4 hour close. So when I see this momentum coming in, we got an hour before the 4 hour close. I love that. I am anticipating, okay, this momentum is going to kick in. We're going to continue and we're going to close with a great 4 hourly and 1 hour. So you can see within 5 minutes of entering, this position for me was already running 1.13%. So rule of thumb for me, once we run 1% in profit, I'm going to move my stop to break even, which is exactly what I did at the close of this hourly. So right here, I went to break even. Wasn't the best hourly close. That momentum didn't, manage to sustain itself. You can see this kind of ugly 1 hour close here. We got a second one here. And at this point, I'm kind of just at the mercy of the markets, and I'm anticipating we're either going to pull back, I could get taken out for break even, and we continue that push lower, or this is going to rocket higher. The hopeful side of me was just wanting this position to push lower from here, target these previous daily lows, and then ultimately, my target was what level was it here? 1593. So bit below that. So anticipating that the daily 50 MA, by the time we tag it, it's going to ride up a little bit. It'll be around here. So I was targeting 4.5 of this position. Would have loved to see it hit that. You can see we just sort of moved sideways here for the rest of the evening. Really did nothing. So this isn't something I'd be willing to hold over the weekend, just with the current geopolitical environment, everything going on. But yeah, this is a bit of a hybrid entry to what we'd normally see on an RT1, where we want to retrace to that 0.382, 0.5 fib and reject the 1 hour 50 MA. With this one, just seeing how that daily close, I knew that was likely not going to happen, and I was anticipating we reject this 1 hour 50 MA, which is gives me more conviction than just the fib level. I love the daily zone we're trading from. You can see here we had that massive reaction with the Bank of Japan news here. If we got that again, I would have been a very, very happy trader coming into the weekend. Didn't pan out this time. Happy to take risk off the table and very happy with the way I managed it. So let me know if you were able to get into this position, if you would have managed it differently, if you would have just wiped it off your watch list based on this pullback. But I liked it. I had conviction in the higher time frame. We got enough of a rejection here for me to get interested, and I was able to remove risk quickly. So all in all, good position for me. Aggressive entry, aggressive management, and we'll see what next week brings.